I cheated on my wife and thought I'd feel free. Instead I watched her pack one bag, leave her wedding ring on the counter, and drive away without looking back. I am still standing at that window. I am writing this from the guest room of a house that used to be ours. It smells like her lotion still. The lavender one she kept on the nightstand. I haven't moved it. I haven't moved anything. I keep thinking if I leave everything where it is, maybe the universe will glitch and rewind and she'll walk back through that front door with grocery bags and that half smile she gave me when I forgot to defrost the chicken. But she's not coming back. I know that now. I knew it the second she placed her wedding ring on the kitchen counter like it was a receipt she no longer needed. No tears. No screaming. Just the quiet click of platinum on marble. That sound lives in my chest now. It plays on a loop every night when the house gets too still and I can hear my own breathing and nothing else. Her name is Lauren. Was Lauren. Still is, obviously. She didn't stop existing. I just stopped deserving to say her name out loud. We were together for 11 years. Married for 7. I met her at a bookstore, of all places, one of those independent ones with the creaky floors and the cat sleeping on a stack of poetry collections. She was reading the back of a novel I had just put down, and I made some comment about the ending being predictable, and she told me, without looking up, that maybe I was the predictable one for giving up on it. That was Lauren. She never let you off easy, but she always made you want to try harder. I asked her to coffee that afternoon. She said no. I asked again the next week when I coincidentally showed up at the same store. She said fine, 1 cup, and if I was boring she was leaving. I wasn't boring. She stayed. For 11 years she stayed. She was the kind of woman who remembered everything. Not in the weaponized way people joke about. She remembered the name of the nurse who helped me after my car accident. She remembered my mother's favorite tea. She remembered that I once mentioned, offhand, in a conversation I barely recall, that I wanted to see the Northern Lights. 3 years later, for our anniversary, she handed me an envelope with tickets to Iceland. That was Lauren. She didn't love loudly. She loved precisely. She studied you like you were a language she wanted to become fluent in, and she never stopped learning. And I threw all of it away for a woman whose last name I am not even sure I know. I need to explain how it started, not because it justifies anything, but because I want other men reading this to see how ordinary the path to destruction looks. It doesn't start with some dramatic forbidden attraction. It starts with boredom and silence and a small, poisonous voice in your head that says you're not getting enough. Lauren and I had been in a rough patch. That's what I called it then. A rough patch. Like our marriage was a stretch of bad road that would smooth out on its own. She had started a new role at work, something demanding, and her hours got longer. She was tired more often. We stopped going on our weekend drives. Dinner became something we ate in the same room but not really together, her on her laptop, me on my phone. The intimacy slowed. Not stopped. Slowed. But in my mind, I had already started building the case. I told myself she had checked out. I told myself I was being neglected. I told myself that a man has needs, and if his wife won't meet them, the marriage is already broken. I want to be clear about something. Lauren never stopped caring. She asked me multiple times if I was okay. She suggested we go to counseling. She left a note on the bathroom mirror once that said I miss us with a little heart drawn next to it. I saw that note. I read it. And then I went to work and flirted with someone who made me feel like I was 25 again. Her name was Megan. She was a new hire in the marketing department. Younger than me by about 8 years. She laughed at everything I said. She touched my arm when we talked. She texted me memes at 11 p.m. and said things like you're literally the only interesting person in this office. And I ate it up. I ate every single crumb she dropped and convinced myself it was a 5-course meal. My friend Kyle noticed first. He pulled me aside at a work happy hour and said, "Bro, you're married. That girl is not your friend." I laughed it off. Told him he was reading into it. Told him Megan and I were just vibing, that it was harmless, that Lauren wouldn't care because Lauren barely noticed me anymore. Kyle looked at me the way you look at someone who's walking toward a cliff and calling it a shortcut. He said, "You're going to regret this." I told him to relax. I should have listened to Kyle. The texting got worse. Or better, depending on how deep into the lie you were. Megan started sending pictures. Not explicit, not at first. Just her at the gym. Her getting ready to go out. Her in outfits she said she needed a second opinion on. And I responded every single time. I responded fast. I responded with enthusiasm. I gave this woman more attention in 2 months than I had given my wife in 2 years. And the sickest part is, I knew it. Somewhere underneath the dopamine and the ego, I knew exactly what I was doing. I just didn't want to stop. The affair became physical on a Thursday. I remember because Lauren had texted me that morning asking if I wanted to do dinner at that Italian place we used to love, the one where we had our first real date. I told her I had to work late. I didn't work late. I went to Megan's apartment. I won't describe what happened because that's not the point, and honestly I don't think I could stomach writing it. What I will say is this: the guilt didn't hit me on the drive home. It didn't hit me when I showered before getting into bed next to my wife. It didn't hit me when Lauren, half asleep, reached over and put her hand on my chest and mumbled "missed you." It didn't hit me then because I had already numbed myself to it. I had rehearsed the justification so many times that it felt like fact. She doesn't want me. She doesn't see me. I deserve to feel wanted. Those 3 sentences were the bricks I used to build the wall between me and my conscience. It went on for 3 months. 3 months of lies. 3 months of fake late meetings and drinks with the guys and silencing my phone when I was home. 3 months of Lauren asking me if something was wrong and me saying I was just stressed about work. 3 months of looking at this woman who had loved me for over a decade, and choosing to deceive her every single day. The thing about affairs is they don't just betray your partner. They betray your own memory. I started rewriting our history. I started telling myself that Lauren and I were never really happy, that we had just been comfortable, that our love was more routine than real. I needed to believe that because the alternative was admitting that I was destroying something sacred for something cheap. And I wasn't ready to face that yet. Megan, meanwhile, started getting more demanding. She wanted me to take her out. She wanted me to spend weekends with her. She started making comments about Lauren, little jabs disguised as concern. She clearly doesn't appreciate you. If I were your wife, I'd never let you feel lonely. Maybe the universe is telling you something. And instead of hearing those comments for what they were, which was manipulation, I nodded along like a man who had lost the ability to think for himself. My son's name is Carter. He was 5 at the time. I need to talk about him because he's the part of this that I will never, ever forgive myself for. Carter worshipped me. He used to wait by the door when he heard my car pull in. He had this thing where he would grab my hand the second I walked in and drag me to whatever he was building with his blocks, narrating the whole thing like a tiny architect presenting to a board of investors. Dad, look, this is the castle. And this part is where the dragons live. And this part is where you and me live. You and me. Not even Mom. Just you and me. That's how much that little boy loved his father. And I was missing it. I was coming home later. I was distracted when I was there. I was on my phone. I was short with him when he asked for attention. One night he came into the bedroom and asked me to read him a story, and I told him not tonight, buddy, Daddy's tired. He didn't argue. He just walked out, closed the door quietly behind him, and I heard his little footsteps going back to his room. Lauren looked at me from across the bed with this expression that I can't even name. Not anger. Not disappointment. Something worse. Recognition. Like she was seeing, for the first time, that the man she married might not be in the room anymore. I should have woken up then. I should have ended it with Megan, gotten on my knees, and begged my wife to help me become the man I used to be. But I didn't. Because the lie was more comfortable than the truth, and I had become a coward in the shape of a husband. It all came apart on a Sunday. Lauren had taken Carter to her mother's house for the afternoon. I was supposed to be watching the game. Instead, I was on the phone with Megan, lying on the couch in our living room, in our home, talking to another woman like I had every right to be doing it. I didn't hear the front door open. I didn't hear Lauren come back early because Carter had gotten carsick. I didn't hear anything until I turned around and she was standing in the hallway, holding our son on her hip, staring at me with the phone pressed to my ear. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. I don't know what she heard exactly, how much of the conversation, how much of the tone, but it was enough. I watched her face go through something I will never be able to describe accurately. It wasn't the slow crack of heartbreak you see in movies. It was more like watching a light go out. 1 second it was there, 1 second it wasn't. She set Carter down. She walked to the bedroom. She closed the door. I stood in the hallway holding a dead phone, my mouth open, my chest caving in, listening to absolute silence from the other side of that door. No crying. No cursing. No throwing things. Just silence. And in that silence, I heard the sound of my entire life splitting in two, the man I was before that moment and the man I would be after. I knocked on the door. She didn't answer. I knocked again. Nothing. 45 minutes later, she came out with one bag. One. After 11 years, after 7 years of marriage, after building a life and a home and a family, she packed one bag. She walked to the kitchen. She pulled her wedding ring off slowly, like she was peeling away a layer of skin, and placed it on the counter. She picked up Carter, who had been sitting on the floor coloring, blissfully unaware that his world was ending, and she walked to the front door. I said her name. I said, Lauren, please. She didn't turn around. She didn't look at me. She opened the door, walked to her car, buckled our son in, got in the driver's seat, and pulled out of the driveway. I stood at the window and watched her taillights disappear. I am still standing at that window. It has been 14 months since she left. I am going to tell you what happens after. Not because I want pity. I promise you, I have none for myself either. I am telling you because every man who is standing where I stood, phone in hand, thinking he can have both lives, needs to know what the other side looks like. The first week, I didn't eat. That sounds dramatic. It's not. I literally could not swallow food. I would make something, stand over the stove, plate it, sit down, and then stare at it until it went cold. The house was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming. I never noticed that sound before. You don't notice silence when there's a 5-year-old running through the halls and a woman humming in the next room and life happening in every corner. When that stops, the silence doesn't just fill the space. It replaces it. It becomes the house. I called Lauren 32 times in the first 3 days. She didn't answer once. On the 33rd call, her mother picked up. She didn't yell. She said, very calmly, she doesn't want to speak to you. Please stop calling. And then she hung up. There was something in her voice that hit me harder than anger would have. It was pity. Not for me. For her daughter. Like she was tired of watching good women love the wrong men and this was just the latest chapter in a story she had seen too many times. I texted Lauren everything I could think of. I'm sorry. Please let me explain. It didn't mean anything. I know I messed up. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll change. Please don't take Carter. Please don't leave me. I read those messages now and I feel sick. Not because they weren't sincere, but because they were all about me. Every single one. I'm sorry. I messed up. Don't take my son. Let me fix this. Me. Even in my apology, I was centering myself. I wasn't thinking about what she felt standing in that hallway. I wasn't thinking about what it took for her to pack one bag and leave the home she had made. I was thinking about my loss. My pain. My consequences. That's the thing about selfish men. Even our grief is selfish. Megan texted me 2 days after Lauren left. She said, "Hey, are you okay? I heard things got messy." Messy. That was the word she used. Like my marriage imploding was a spilled drink on a countertop. I didn't respond. She texted again the next day. "I'm here if you need me." I stared at that message for a long time. I tried to remember what I had found so irresistible about this woman. The flattery. The attention. The way she made me feel chosen. And now, sitting in the wreckage of my actual life, all I could see was how hollow it had been. She wasn't offering me love. She was offering me a mirror angled to show only the parts of myself I wanted to see. And I had chosen that mirror over a woman who showed me everything, the good and the ugly, and loved me anyway. I didn't respond to Megan. She texted a few more times over the following week, then stopped. A month later I heard from a coworker that she was seeing someone else. Another guy from the office. Married. I wish I could say I was surprised. The divorce papers came 8 weeks after she left. I opened the envelope at the kitchen counter, standing in the exact spot where her ring had been. She wasn't asking for much. She wanted shared custody of Carter, the car she had paid for, and her grandmother's china set. That was it. 11 years, and she wanted a car and some plates. I signed everything. My lawyer asked if I wanted to negotiate. I said no. What was I going to negotiate for? The right to keep pretending I hadn't burned it all down? The custody arrangement is what finally broke me. Not the divorce. Not losing the house. Custody. Because that's when Carter stopped being a constant in my life and became a schedule. Every other weekend. Wednesday evenings. Holidays on a rotating basis. My son, the boy who used to wait at the door for me every single night, was now a calendar entry. I picked him up for the first time under the new arrangement and he was quiet in the car. He didn't tell me about his blocks. He didn't narrate anything. He just sat in his car seat and looked out the window. I asked him if he was okay and he said, "Mama said we don't live together anymore." I said that was true. He asked why. I said sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. He said, "Did you make a mistake, Daddy?" I couldn't answer him. I just drove and let the tears fall where he couldn't see them. The loneliness after something like this isn't what you think. It's not dramatic. It's not cinematic. It's not sitting in the rain or drinking yourself into blackouts, though I did some of that too. The real loneliness is mundane. It's reaching for a coffee mug and grabbing the one that says "World's Best Mom" because it was closest and then standing there holding it like it's an artifact from a civilization that no longer exists. It's hearing a song in the grocery store that played at your wedding and having to leave your cart in the aisle and sit in your car for 20 minutes. It's going to bed at 9 p.m. because being awake hurts and there's nothing left in the day worth staying up for. My friends disappeared. Not all at once. Slowly. Kyle tried. He came over a few times in the first month, brought food, sat with me, let me talk. But eventually even he pulled back. I think watching me self-destruct was exhausting for people who had tried to warn me. There's a limit to how long people will hold your hand through a fire you set yourself. My buddy Brandon told me straight up, "I can't feel sorry for you, man. You had everything." He wasn't being cruel. He was being honest. And honest is the one thing I couldn't handle because it sounded too much like my own voice at 3 a.m. saying the same thing. I started therapy. Not because I wanted to. Because I ran out of places to hide from myself. My therapist, a woman named Dr. Pratt, asked me during our second session why I thought I cheated. I gave her the script. Lauren was distant. I felt neglected. The connection was gone. She listened, nodded, and then said something that took the floor out from under me. She said, "It sounds like you were looking for someone to make you feel good about yourself without requiring you to do any of the work." I wanted to argue. I opened my mouth to argue. But nothing came out because she was right. Lauren required effort. Real love does. It asks you to show up when you're tired. It asks you to choose someone when choosing is hard. It asks you to be honest when lying is easier. And I didn't want to do the work. I wanted to be adored without earning it. That's not love. That's consumption. I see Lauren sometimes when I drop off Carter. She never comes to the door. Her mother does, or her sister. But once, about 6 months after the divorce was finalized, she was standing in the driveway when I pulled up. She looked different. Not worse. Not better. Just different. Lighter, maybe. Like she had set down something heavy and her body was remembering what it felt like to stand without carrying it. She looked at me and for a second, just a second, I thought I saw something. Not forgiveness. Not love. Just acknowledgement. Like she was saying, I see you. I remember you. But I'm done carrying what you did. She took Carter inside. She didn't say a word to me. I went home and sat in the driveway for 2 hours. People ask me if I've moved on. I don't know what that means. I go to work. I see my son on the days I'm allowed to. I sleep in a bed that's too big for one person in a house that's too quiet for someone who used to have everything. I don't date. I can't. Not because I'm holding out hope, I'm not that delusional anymore, but because I don't trust myself. How do you offer yourself to someone new when you know exactly what you're capable of? How do you say I'm a good man when you have first-hand evidence that you're not? My mother called me last month and asked how I was doing. I said fine. She said, "You lost a good woman." I said I know. She said, "No, I don't think you do. I don't think you'll ever fully know, because understanding what you lost requires being the kind of man who would never have lost her in the first place." My own mother. And she wasn't wrong. I think about the ring a lot. That moment. Her sliding it off her finger and placing it on the counter. She didn't throw it at me. She didn't shove it in my face. She just set it down, like she was returning something to a store. Like the transaction was complete and she was walking away with nothing because nothing was better than what I had given her. I kept that ring in a drawer for months. Then one day I put it in a box, drove to a storage unit, and locked it away. I couldn't keep it in the house. It was too heavy. Not the platinum. The meaning. Carter is 6 now. He is starting to understand more. He asked me last week if I still love Mama. I said yes. He asked if Mama still loves me. I said I don't know, buddy. He thought about this for a while. Then he said, "I think she does. She just doesn't want to." I don't know where a 6-year-old learns to say something like that, but it hit me in a place I didn't know still had feeling. If you are reading this and you are where I was, phone buzzing with someone who isn't your wife, telling yourself it's harmless, telling yourself she doesn't notice, telling yourself you deserve more, I need you to hear me. You don't deserve more. You deserve exactly what you have, and you are about to lose it. That woman lying next to you, the one you think doesn't see you anymore? She sees you. She's just tired. She's carrying half the weight of a life you built together, and instead of helping her, you're looking for someone who will tell you how great you are for doing nothing. Stop. Put the phone down. Roll over. Touch her shoulder. Say something real. Do it now. Because I promise you, the silence after she leaves is louder than anything you've ever heard. I had a wife who loved me in a way I didn't understand until I lost it. I had a son who thought I was the center of the universe. I had a home. I had a life. I had a chance to be the man I always told myself I was. I don't have any of that anymore. What I have is a guest bedroom in a house full of ghosts, a custody schedule pinned to a refrigerator, and a window I still stand at some nights, looking at an empty driveway, waiting for headlights that are never coming back. Don't be me. Please. Don't be me.